Hi everyone, this is module number 156 for the subject of strategic human resource management. In this module, we will continue to talk about the concept or different forms of employee voice. And I hope you people remember or recall what is employee voice. We just talked about that in the last module. So, some writers have distinguished between employee participation and involvement. For example, Heyman and Mason in 1995. Quite old citation, however. In the beginning, when the employee involvement and participation emerged as a variable or as a construct, so at that time, people were trying to distinguish whether voice of the employee or employee voice is a different thing than the involvement and participation. We will talk about that because we need to understand whether when we are talking about something, is it the same phenomenon or they are different. So, participation relates to employee rights to have their interest represented in organizational decision making. So, employee participation has been regarded as one of the important antecedents of employee productivity, and it has a positive impact on various work related attitudes and behaviors. In other words, employee participation is considered that can foster employee engagement, that can foster organizational citizenship behavior, and that can foster ownership of employees of the decisions made within the organization. What do we mean by ownership? We say that when organization is making a decision about anything, when employees participate in it, actually they are also taking the ownership of it because they feel that they were part of that decision. When the decision was made, they had their input, and because they had their input, now it is the legitimate but as well as moral liability or moral responsibility of employees to own that decision in which they were part of. So, involvement refers to management led practices where employees' input is seen as assist in the achievement of organizational objectives. When we talk about involvement, actually, fairly speaking, make it very brief and quick, that involvement is of different levels. One is at only suggestion level involvement. For example, you are invited. Even the basic level is you are informed. So organization involve you through actually informing you. So they tell you what is going to happen in the organization and what is the decision. Actually, organization thinks that this information to you is also your involvement or your consensus about something. Second is suggestion level involvement. They invite you to suggest something, and you only suggest. It is the discretion of the top management whether to follow, whether to implement, or not to implement. In other words, you are invited to suggest about your job or any other decision which is being made by the organization. The highest level, this is called high involvement, and that concept was introduced by Lawler 1986, and this has been taken a very important route to modern HR management or a modern way of human resource management, that is high involvement. High involvement is when you are given a discretion or you are actively involved in making decisions. So there are different levels of involvement, that you are only informed or you are invited for suggestion or you have given the power to make a decision. So industrial democracy can be regarded as an extension of political democracy. So this is another form of employment or voice of the employee, when there is a opportunity to cumulatively or democratically decide something about the fate of the organization and your fate as well. So employee involvement represents a situation similar to consensual voice and is often implemented at the level of task decision. This is what I have just said, that the three levels, and also about what? About the task. You are given the power to make decision about your job, your task, or you are given the power to make a decision about the organizational issues or something which is related to the organization as a whole. So this is what we call the job level involvement and organization level involvement. In your organization, might be you have given the opportunity to exercise power related to your job, but not to give the inputs or make decisions about the organization as a whole. So employee participation is similar to conflictual wise, while the involvement is similar to consensual wise, that is positive thing. So employee participation in organizational decision making, when it is required or when you are asked to do, is it depends upon it. Not always employee participation, but employee participation may result in something. So employee participation may go beyond the channeling of discontent by establishing the representation of employees' interest in the decision making process. Very briefly speaking, if you talk about in a more detail, when we talk about job involvement and employee participation, usually employee participation is mostly involved or getting union involvement into it. And when we talk about employee involvement, this is individual level, giving power to employees to make decisions. So these are the different forms of voice of the employee or employee voice, through which employees are able to give their inputs or to show their grievance or to raise their concerns about the organization. So through different forms, slightly different from each other, but we can refer to them employee voice when we are considering employment relations. Thank you.